No, oh, that's the wrong one. I
How's
was
it
trying to
going,
sing
everybody?
iCarly. Sorry.
Oh, I thought that was Drake and Josh.
That
Oh,
was. I
you were
was trying to
trying to.
because
Okay.
we had a countdown and we were about to do an iCarly episode.
I mean, what do you mean about to? This is an iCarly episode.
Oh
It's
yeah.
canon, Cade.
Let's get some random dancing going.
If we got the cameras on, Cade, you
Oh
can
yeah.
start dancing.
Oh, you're right. I forgot we got live footage.
Although, hopefully this is live footage. I don't know. This is the first time we're actually trying this. This is
Oh
a
yeah.
new site, but
You could just be
welcome to
looking at
Carbo
it.
Load, guys.
Welcome.
This is Cosmic Lumberjack,
And Cato.
and we're going to be talking about apocalyptic theories and stuff.
Oh yeah.
And
I mean, I'm kind of just because I want to talk about this mainly because we connected to The Last of Us, but we got some other stuff we could connect it to.
yeah, so we could talk
Plenty
about
of
like The
pop
Last of
culture.
Us because everybody's like watching that right now, episode 3. So, and then also me and Kate are also catching up on The Walking Dead right now. So
Yeah.
it's also just zombies, and then I also have been watching like the Treyarch zombies storyline after Black Ops 3 and 4.
Yo,
So
I've
now
not
I-
even touched that.
yeah. So now it's like this whole other storyline. But before
gotta
we get
talk
into
about
any of that, yeah, we got to talk about that at
Yeah.
some point. I want to talk about all the different apocalyptic scenarios. There's, I think, I want to say 12 on this sheet I have right here. And we could just go through it and what we would do in this scenario, I guess.
Okay.
So where do you want to begin? Do you want to start with the TV shows or do you want to start with the scenarios?
Do you want to? Why don't we start with the TV shows and then the ones that we don't touch? Because there's only like what we're just talking about zombies pretty much for the first part.
Yeah.
So I guess we start with zombies. Yeah. How do you want to approach it? Do you want to talk about the shows first? Do you want to talk about?
All right, let's talk about the shows. So, Dinger Steve is normally he has a PS4. He plays The Last of Us.
Mhm.
Me and Cade don't have it, so we had no experience. I mean, you
Yeah.
had some familiarity with The Last of Us, right?
Yeah, I just watched playthroughs when it came out because
Okay.
when it came out, I was like, "This is a very cinematic game. Like I think the story was written first, and then the game was built around it. So it was
Oh, that's
designed
cool.
to be a storytelling
Mechanism,
game. Yeah.
right? Yeah. So that's like a
Um,
really fluent story. Like I kind of like that. I wish all games were
Yeah.
designed like that, to be honest.
Yeah, actually, I heard someone talk about it recently. Like that's why Last of Us is doing so well because I think at least the first 2 episodes, they're almost like shot for shot from the game. There's
Oh,
some
really?
tiny things that are changed around, but like the first episode, that I think that's almost exactly how it went down in the game.
That's kind of cool, actually.
Yeah,
Because
and
like I wasn't sure what they changed or if it was like any different.
you know what? I think it wasn't. I could be completely wrong because I didn't really play. I watched like one playthrough, but I think it focused a lot more on Ellie's perspective leading up to it.
Okay.
And I think in the game
video
you
game.
are more Joel perspective.
Oh, okay.
Because the first episode, it's literally Ellie's point of view, right? I think that's the entire thing until
I mean,
the end.
not necessarily, because like the beginning, you start out with Joel and like his daughter at the beginning, and then like
Oh, I'm sorry,
you
not
know,
Ellie. His daughter. I forgot
his
her
daughter.
name.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I meant. It's like his daughter's perspective.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm just so
okay.
used to him taking on her as a daughter that it's basically his daughter.
Yeah. Pretty much already confirmed. Spoiler alert.
Yeah. Oh yeah, this is heavy spoilers. Sorry to bring it up now.
I mean, I kind of got the vibe that he wanted to take her as a daughter just because of like, the after episode 3, I already have him like saying, or after the letter from Bill suggesting like, oh, take care of your wife, and then all of a sudden he's just like, oh, my wife's dead, so now
Yeah.
what's my purpose? And then obviously Ellie is his purpose now because or else he wouldn't be alive, I guess.
Yeah.
But
No, yeah, there's
maybe that's just also foreshadowing.
well,
Sorry, you can continue.
no, it's like in the game, like the game and the show, like Joel's relationship is about the same point. It's like she's this girl that like I gotta take care of. I do not want anything to do with her. My essentially girlfriend, wife, we don't know what to label it, but like died. What the fuck do I have to live for? I had nothing to live for as soon as it started because my daughter died.
Right.
And then Ellie comes in and he's just like, this is just a mission for me. It's literally what's it called? An escort mission. It's just an escort mission for me at this point. And then, you know, Tess dies, and then there's these little things that are just like, when he has to buckle her seatbelt, because she's not been in a car. She didn't know what a seatbelt was.
Yeah, she's never been in a car before, at that point.
Yeah, I think that's like one of the first big signs of like, oh shit. Like, being fatherly figure to her.
Oh yeah, and then also like the vibes of like her wanting to put on the music. And then he's like, no, don't put it on. And then all of a sudden he likes the music.
Yeah.
Is also like a subtle hint to that. And then obviously when he starts liking the music, then she doesn't like it.
Mm-hmm.
To show that's kind of like a father-daughter bond, I feel like.
Yeah. Yeah, he's jamming out to music that like...
He's
telling her
know.
like, oh, do you know who this is? Like that is like something like my dad would say to me. Like, not now, but like...
Yeah, exactly.
That's just like, oh, this guy. Like, let me tell you about his music or her music and... blah blah blah. Yeah, I kind of forgot where we're going with this, but I know we want to talk about the apocalypse.
Yeah. I was just gonna also talk about like right now Joel's reason for living is also probably not fully on Ellie right now. It's just on his brother because he's trying to go see his brother. That was the whole reason for that. So he probably doesn't actually like still care about Ellie that much. But I feel like we're gonna find out that his brother's dead, and then his only reason for living is going to be Ellie. Or something like that. But that's just my theory.
Was it the end of this episode 3 or episode 2, that he was like, first off, don't talk about Tess. Don't bring Tess up. Second off, let's completely not talk about each other's past before this.
Yeah.
Was that this last episode? Or
this episode, yeah.
Okay, so that's
really, episode 3, yeah.
Yeah, so that's almost straight from the game. Those lines. It's a little bit of a different order, and they say it a little differently, but it's basically straight from the game, those lines.
That's pretty cool, okay.
Yeah.
So they really don't need to do that much work, like the writers for this whole TV show. They're just like, just copy the whole thing.
It's literally like, it's done. All they have to do is shoot it and have like the little nuances of like, oh, remember this from the game? Like when he takes his backpack off, did you see the comparison between that and the game?
No. So what happens when he takes off his backpack?
So when he takes his backpack off, it's literally the animation when you go in your inventory to craft something. Like the way he does it.
Cool.
They made him go down, crouch down, blah, 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 whatever. The way he like...
Oh, man, I bet like all the video game fans were like going crazy about that then.
That was the first thing I saw. I saw a clip on like TikTok and it was like, oh my god, they've got the crafting animation. Oh my god. Yeah, there was that. And then something, fuck, I forgot. But there was something else that I think was from the game. It's like, oh my god, that's crazy.
Yeah. So they're really going all out. So
yeah.
To be honest, I think, like the whole thing with so far, just from my impression, is The Last of Us is basically just a big budget Walking Dead. Because it's like you have a realistic, like, I guess, quarantine zone, and then it's also like there's politics going on, so it's not just like, oh, there's survivors, and then, oh, there's outside people. It's like, no, there's conflict inside the walls, and that's the main issue because they're not going to let anybody in. And then, also, I had this idea that, at the beginning of episode 1, how there was that girl that came into the actual quarantine zone, and they scanned her and she was red, meaning she had the virus. Was she actually like immune to turning? Because that's like this, like Ellie's immune and she was bit. So maybe that other girl was also immune as well. Yeah. Just because of like, I mean, if Ellie's able to do
signs.
it. Yeah. So it's like maybe this whole time there has been many other cures, other people with the cure, but everybody's just been killing them. So
I'm sure it like that's totally a possibility. The thing is, like, with that one character that like there was very like little shown from like when she appeared to getting killed, and Yeah, you didn't see where the bite mark was. You didn't see it happen. But it is a very short period. Like, did you ever see the chart in the background showing like the time to symptoms appearing?
What did it say?
I'm not sure if it was in the first episode or not, but it says like when it's like neck up, it's like 2 to 4 hours before symptoms. If it's torso up, it's like 12 to 24 hours, and then if it's like legs up, you got like 24 to 48 hours before symptoms.
So when did Tess get bit? Was that in?
That was in that.
Must have been like in that episode she got bit.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe it was like when they were like the those weird blind ones.
Yeah.
The blind zombies must have done that. Okay, that makes sense. Because
Yeah.
I was wondering, like, that was so fast.
Well, she got bit, or she got infected somehow, and it was on her arm, but like it was spreading. I could be wrong with the timeline, like that time I told you about.
Right, yeah, but it's still
but I mean, I don't think
close.
she really had too big of symptoms. And then also, you know, I don't understand. Was that zombie? Like, so the fungus knew that she was infected, because that's why she wasn't torn apart. You know, when she's about
really?
Because like, you know, she was standing there, and they didn't really notice her, and then one zombie came up to her, and like he like kissed her or whatever. But I was so confused. Like, was that the virus? Like, was that the fungus
communicating?
Not communicating, but like being like, oh, you're not fully there yet. Let me inject more into you. I don't know if that was like a spore thing where like out of its mouth, it's able to like send more.
Yeah, I guess they could all do that.
Yeah, it was literally like its mouth was like communicating through her head. So
yeah,
she would have been dead very soon after, or, you know, taken over.
I definitely think that if she tried fighting it, then it would have tried biting her more and tearing her apart. Mm-hmm. So she was kind of just like having to do it so she can get the lighter to go, which like that was just so like painful to watch her like shoot that
I was
lighter.
Like, wait, is this not going to happen? Is she not going to be able to light this thing? And then I was like, okay, dude, literally just put the lighter on the ground. A spark will start it. You don't need to like make sure it's lit and then drop it.
Like, I feel like if she dropped it, then the lighter would like stop and then like or close or something like that.
Especially when it's that close to dying, dropping it. If the flame went out, I would have been like, "Are you kidding me?" Please. Like the tension in that scene was like driving me crazy.
Yeah, and at that point, we didn't see that much zombie action. We only saw like the ones that were blind, and that was just like, I don't know. I kind of thought that they were going to alert the other ones, and then at that point, it was going to be a domino effect where they were going to be on like a whole chase scene or something. But no, it just kind of like ended, and then they led to this scene where one of the dead ones just communicated with the others.
Yeah.
And they all started swarming. But I don't know. The recent episode was pretty good, and it makes sense that they just got all the loot. Like, it would have been so, I guess, unjustified if they just, like, got there, and then they were like, oh, they're dead already. All right, let's just take the loot and then leave. Because now we actually got Bill and Frank's storyline. And that whole thing happened. If we didn't get Bill and Frank's storyline, and they're just like Joel and Ellie just pulled up, and then we're like, okay, we got some free loot. All right, let's just leave. But now we actually got like all the emotions tied to that, so it like makes it more like this is actually like this is a good ending for them. They get to help Joel on his journey now.
There's the emotional tie of like the viewer got the emotional tie that Joel had. Like, not only of Joel, but Bill and Frank's relationship, which was a whole like subplot just to make you like, oh, they're dead. Yeah. But then Joel also,
they got to live a happy
see the
life.
Connection to Joel. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was good.
At first I thought he had like Alzheimer's or something, because like the paintings looked like someone with Alzheimer's trying to like do a self-portrait.
Because I wasn't sure
if no one's coming with an MRI machine, and I was like, oh wait, it's probably cancer.
Oh, okay. So that MRI usually indicates cancer.
I'm pretty sure, because Alzheimer's. You know.
Because I wasn't sure if it was like ALS or multiple sclerosis, because he was in a wheelchair. but it could be anything. We don't really know.
Yeah, and I don't think MRI might also be. I don't know if you detect Alzheimer's physically. I think it might be more in like a therapeutic session where you get psychoanalyzed. I'm not 100% sure.
Okay, yeah.
He had some debilitating disease that he couldn't walk anymore. He was dying. That was another thing. He looked like he was dying, which I think that's a sign of cancer. Like the body's like
wasn't sure if it
eating
was just
itself
like
away.
Yeah, I wasn't sure also if it was like, just old age at first, because it was like they looked old and it was like 20 years had passed, and I was like, how old were they to begin with when this started? But I guess it wasn't like they weren't that old, and it was just like, I mean, Bill obviously he didn't have anything, but he still looked really old too.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know, but it was very like Romeo and Juliet, like, oh, this is my only purpose, so that's why he just had to end it. So I mean, yeah, that also just boosts more of the whole storyline of him taking care of Ellie, though, because now that's his reason.
Yeah, and then when does the next episode come out? Is that tomorrow night? Sunday night?
Tonight.
Oh, tonight?
Wait, tomorrow night. Oh, right, yeah. No, Sunday. I thought today was Sunday for some reason.
Okay.
I don't know why.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So it's releasing Sunday at 9. So by the time this airs, hopefully, I mean, you guys watch it before episode 4 comes out, so this makes more sense. Or else you guys will just be like, you're missing this part and this part.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Yeah, screw you. We'll take time uploading
this. To get onto other apocalyptic stuff, let's move on to what would happen. So I have like a bunch of different scenarios, and so I'm gonna try and like there's a bunch that are just like kind of like there's no way you can survive, but I want you to try your best.
Okay.
To like.
Do you want to start with the zombies first? Or
yeah, we can start with zombies. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So zombie apocalypse. The idea of a zombie apocalypse where the dead come back to life and attack the living. Yada yada yada. Okay. So what's your goal? What are you doing?
So now I'm also thinking like what kind of zombie apocalypse this is, because there's the Walking Dead kind.
Was it like mushroom spores?
Yeah, is it mushroom spores? Which, by the way, I have something to say about that.
That's realistic.
Well, my brother sent me something the other day on Instagram, and apparently fungus are mutating.
Yeah, because of climate change, because it's getting hotter.
Because of climate change. Hold on, let me see. Dangerous fungi infections are spreading across the U.S. and rising temperatures are the reason. So that's just something my brother sent me the other day.
Yeah,
that is not the zombie apocalypse I want. I do not want a fungus one. That one is
not
too
realistic.
Well, the zombies, at least depicted in The Last of Us, are freaking crazy. They're so sensitive to hearing. The fungus spreads through the air. Because in reality, you would need a gas mask because the spores be in the air a lot more often.
Right.
And just they're the kind of zombies that could sprint at you and rip you apart. They probably wouldn't rip you apart. They'd probably just infect you. But those are crazy. Compared to like the Walking Dead kind, or like the classic like Brains zombies. Or like their bodies falling apart. They're slow walking. Over time, their bodies are going to deteriorate. Unlike the fungus, which I think would the body would be more intact. It'd be like your brain's taken over, but your bodily functions are still working.
Yeah. But how do they eat? Is there then it's like also like they're connected through the fungus, so that also like they're able to get sustenance using other fungi on the ground or something like that.
So yeah, that's always a big question for me. Is like in these shows and movies, like how are these zombies surviving? Like, okay, yeah, they're the dead, but in reality, like in The Last of Us, they're not really dead. Their brain's just taken over by this fungus. Does that mean their body needs to consume food to survive? Because like but this fungus is like based off of like the ant fungus. So like that kind, like that fungus, its main goal is to like just explode and spread it. It's not like it's trying to like survive as long as possible.
Because it is slowly eating the host body, right?
Yeah, like it's taking over that body.
Yeah, but it's also like eating it over time, but it's also making sure that it can still like move, and then once it fully gets to a point, then it just turns the whole body into food.
Yeah, so that's another question. Like I think in reality, do these zombies need sustenance to survive? Why is it eating? Like in The Walking Dead, why are they eating a body? It's not like it's The Last of Us, where the Last of Us fungus is designed to spread it. So I don't think they really tear apart people as much.
Yeah,
because like we saw with Tess, she got infected, and then the zombies didn't rip her apart, even though she was still, conscious.
Yeah.
But The Walking Dead, they'll rip you apart unless you're just scratched, and then you get infected. And then can you just wait them out? Can you just wait for their bodies to like one deteriorate, for them to starve? In The Walking Dead, I feel like, we're up to like season. Did you finish the show, or did you?
So I'm on season 11 right now.
Okay, so either way, we're around
almost.
the same point. It's about 15 years after the apocalypse. A lot of these zombies, I don't think would be around. Like,
whether they all would have died at that point.
Died, like, live just falling apart. Like, I get it if the brain's still active a little bit and the mouth moving around, but the body's got to fall apart at some point.
Yeah.
So if I was in The Last of Us, I would, hopefully I'd be able to like survive long enough that like a quarantine zone is around. You also have to worry about literally the government killing you because they want to shut down the virus. That is crazy. Like literally, like I don't know how he got away in The Last of Us. Oh, right, his brother shot him. Shot the Fed.
Yeah, his brother shot it. So that was just lucky.
And then I don't know how he got to a quarantine zone without being killed.
Yeah, I guess they just skipped over that important part. But.
Yeah. I mean, it's a small detail. I was like, okay, we'll give it to you. You survived long enough. The government didn't kill you. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. You've been through enough.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of these apocalypses, I'm just like, the zombie thing is one thing, but there's also like the government. That's another aspect because it's a virus. Like we saw what happened with COVID. Like the government shut down, but like it wasn't like if you don't die with the virus, you're gonna spread it insanely amounts to others. It's not gonna be like you start killing people. Like who knows what would really happen? And by the way, I don't think the world would fall apart like it does in these shows. Like the government is completely gone. I don't think in real life that the government would just fall apart. They would have contingency plans. They would have people able to survive. They have the military. Yes, some might die.
People would be wearing masks and stuff, and they'd be more like regulated. I mean, like actual hazmat suits.
Yeah, hazmat suits. They have plans in place to like go to like underground bunkers and survive, and they have food and they have medical equipment.
Right.
So that's another aspect these shows don't really touch because that's not as fun of like the end of the world. It's not really the end of the world if the government's still there because then there's still kind of society, civilization.
Yeah.
Although I prefer if everything just fell apart, and it's just like The Walking
even
Dead.
the government. But then like you have situations like where you have, I don't know, people that are like having their own rules and they're like lawless, but like like killing people whenever they want, and it's
that's another thing too. On like if
that's
there's no
scary.
government, if there's no government, which literally would put some law in place, then you also have to think about people because like when society falls down and there's no laws, people just go fucking animalistic. Like we saw, not we
Woodstock,
saw, but like in the past, right? There was like, it's like you could kill someone and get away with it easily. Like you're just like in Roman times, you could probably kill your neighbor. Maybe not Roman times. I think the laws are pretty good then. But like stoning people, or actually during after in like Jim Crow laws, like people would just start hanging black people and got away with it. Like it was common, and like that's just one thing. When there is a government, when there is people, but there's like just people racism. That's just racism with civilization, and they're able to just hang people. If there's no government and like people just start taking over, that's when warlords come.
Yeah.
So that is pretty scary. Yeah. I don't know how I'd survive.
Yeah, so why do you want that to happen?
Well, it's just a fun idea. Like, I would love for them the world and zombies if, none of my close friends and family died. If, we're not worried about packs of cannibals and warlords. As long as we're the protagonists, as long as the cameras are on us and focusing on us, I'm okay with it. Then we're good. Yeah. Otherwise, no, I don't want to die. So yeah, I guess
get to the
zombies...
QZ and then they'll just kill us.
What's up?
We'll get to the QZ and then they'll just kill us anyway. Like how they did in the episode 3, they just all the extra people that weren't allowed in the QZ were just killed immediately.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, ideally, I would like to be able to just move out into a farm, have some guns, and then like small towns nearby that are relatively abandoned. Some zombies, to like have to worry about a little bit, but not enough where you're like, oh, if we get swarmed, we're done. There's no way you can fight them all off.
Yeah. Like
that would be
where we're positioned right now.
Oh yeah, right now.
Like that's not going to work for where we are.
No.
Yeah.
Like cities and suburbs, not really the best. I don't think. There's gonna be a lot of zombies and a lot of government people. Also, just a lot of people in general.
Yeah, it's like I mean, like, yeah, pretty much the whole plan for you right now. Go to Wyoming. Yeah. You're safe there.
Yeah.
As long as we have backyards with fences, then we're good at least in that regard. But it's like like what you were saying with the spores going in the air. That's when we're kind of like screwed and we can't really do anything like that. But do you think it's actually going to get to the point where it's actually going into the air like that? Or,
well, with the fungus one, I do think in the game there is a type of zombie which is just a more evolved, a more fungus infested zombie. I think they're called bloaters. I'm not 100% sure, but they're a big one, and they have like these things you can throw at you, and it's just this air of like spores. Just spore hit you and you're dead.
Okay, yeah. So then definitely, we'd be screwed.
Yeah, I mean, you need a gas mask, and then you also have to worry about, constantly refilling that, making sure it's always good. And about a slight leak in, like, your quarantine zone, in your mask, in anything, like, how is that going to infect you? Any hole in your body, like, if it gets in there, like, your ears, your eyes, like, there's a lot of things to worry about that you don't really see in movies and shows.
Yeah. I think if the zombie apocalypse actually happened for me, I would hunker down where I'm staying. I would be positioned here, and I would try to find other alternate things to eat. My girlfriend has geckos, and they eat mealworms. And as disgusting as it sounds, I would get the mealworms to repopulate, and that would be a pretty good food source.
I mean, long term, especially if you're in a bunker or whatever.
Yeah.
That might be one of your best options. Plus, you get rid of like food scraps and convert that into food.
Oh, right. Yeah. So
like,
even that, banana, still like...
A banana wouldn't last very long, but like you could feed the banana peel to them and get more mealworms.
Exactly. So producing more food. With my tortoises right now, though, I can't really eat anything. So that kind of sucks. But I would... Point being, I would like try to like actually eat anything possible and then repopulate that. Maybe crickets, that too. But also just stay put. I'm sure that. Do you think that the internet is also going to be shut down when the apocalypse, like in The Last of Us? Like, why would that happen? Why would the satellites come crashing down?
Satellite-wise, I think for the most part, the satellites we have up there they're in orbit that you don't have to have propellant. They're literally just going on their own.
Right, yeah.
So I don't see why those would fall. But Wi-Fi, internet, it would be the breakdown of, like, servers and stuff, which I don't know why it would fall apart. It would be the loss of power, I think, that would cause servers to break down.
Right, okay.
And that's why radios are good, because you could you just project it into the air. You don't need a server. You just need power to that one thing, send it out, and anything that's in nearby you could intercept it.
So we got to get radios. That's also number one, I guess. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's that. I guess they got to have some solar powered generators stationed at some of the servers. I mean, it'd be crazy if there weren't, because I mean, that would just be like a failsafe. Yeah, backup generators, but also like solar powered backup generators to ensure that, like, you know, it's not gonna, like, once all the power grids go out, they still have that to keep at least the internet and make sure everybody's still connected.
I just don't know how the internet works too well with, like, interconnectivity, because if you have a server, right, like Google has multiple servers in, like, different countries that all are one, you know, we have one internet, but, like, there's different servers, different countries that people connect to, and I don't know why or what would happen if one server fell down. What would happen to the global internet, and then that local internet? What would happen?
Right, yeah. Like, would portions of the internet just be restricted or something like that? Then maybe that's what happened. Like, you can't, like, do as much with the internet. It's just like or maybe certain people, like, you only get, like, a handful of people that are allowed to use the internet, and then since there's not enough servers, there's not enough people that can go on it. So maybe that's what it's going to be like. It's going to be like a commodity, a high commodity to go on the internet.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
So
traffic would. Actually, I was going to say it was going to go up because there'd be less support for it, but then at the same time, there'd be a lot less people on it. So I don't know.
So, like, during the apocalypse?
Yeah. Like, when servers start falling down.
Because, I mean, like...
Or connectivity to the internet breaks down.
Yeah, oh, yeah, yeah. When you said traffic, I was thinking, like, cars.
Oh, yeah. Well, that too. A little bit.
And then I got thinking, like... Yeah. I was thinking, like, all the cars would be stuck, so then it's like, you'd still, like, not be able to travel anywhere with your car because everybody's going to be leaving their cars in the road.
Mm-hmm.
So then that would... All roads are useless unless you have, like, a bulldozer going over to clean everything. So, I mean... but, like, back on to, like, what we were talking about, I would just hunker down where I am, find a new food source, and... just stay here as long as I can without trying to interfere. If somebody comes knocking on our door, that's when it's kind of like game over. Because then it's like they're either somebody who needs food and they're nice, or they're just raiders and they have guns and I'm going to die.
Mm-hmm.
So there's not much you can do. You need to have a really nice property with guarded fences and turrets. It's just, that's why an apocalypse is not the best scenario, because no matter what, eventually somebody is going to come knocking on your door.
Yeah.
And it's not going to go well.
Yeah, I would just be worried a lot about like new people. Like you see it in shows and they're like, you meet a new character, and everyone's like, oh, can we trust them? Can we trust them? As a viewer, you kind of know when someone's a good person, when someone's a bad person.
Yeah, just like they hint to it, yeah.
They hint towards it, and, like, you could tell based on a character. But in real life, like, people can be sociopaths. People can, you know, not appear like they're bad. And then you're also, like, paranoid about everyone. Even your close people, like in The Walking Dead, we saw with... Alpha, you know Alpha, the Whisperer, the head of the Whisperers?
Yes, yeah.
Like, when they were in the beginning of the apocalypse, she just straight up kills someone while they're in there, because they were like, the one guy starts freaking out, I was like, hey, help us, and the Alpha just literally kills him, and it's just like,
yeah,
fuck, someone could just snap, and, like, if there's no rules, and you do not want someone doing something,
literally,
they could just be like, I'm gonna kill you. Or, like, not even think about it. Like, people would just, like, go crazy. Like, shut up. And just as paranoid as they are to get out, you can be paranoid about shutting them up. And you don't know what happens. And then when people start killing, when you realize that, like, that is an option now, a lot more than it was beforehand, then it becomes a lot more, I guess, accepted. Which is scary
Yeah, a lot scarier when that happens because then it's like there's nothing that can protect you.
Yeah.
You're just kind of screwed. Everybody in the apocalypse. That's why we kind of need this government. We need some regulation at least to take control of the situation and say, okay, everybody's going to be okay. But I am like, as bad as COVID was, that helped everybody get used to being isolated. And for the scenario of when, say, the mushrooms do or the fungus does infect everybody, that we have a plan to stay quarantined and that we're actually going to be okay for a little bit longer than we think. Because it's not just going to be like, say, if the events of The Last of Us take place in 2003, that's when it first happens. Like, if that's when the fungus infected, yeah, we'd be screwed. But now we're like a little more like we can function as a society doing a lot more of our jobs from home now. So that also helps with that. And then everybody else can just, part of the society will have to be closed off, but some of it will still be able to function. So
yeah,
that helps.
Sorry, continue.
No, that's all I was going to say.
Okay. I was going to say shit, I forgot what I was going to say.
The zombie train of thought has left the train station. That we're screwed. It's hopeless.
You know what? Never mind. I forgot what I was going to say.
But we're prepared.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what we're going to say. So, like, in real life, yeah, in movies and video games and stuff, like, it seems, I think it'd be really fun to be in the apocalypse, especially, like, not having to worry about the pains
doing
of
taxes,
modern day life, taxes, getting a job, like being able to like survive, start a camp and then like go scavenging. To me, sounds really fun. Just killing zombies sounds fun. In reality, though, killing a zombie isn't just gonna be killing a zombie. It's like you're gonna see that as a human being, and it's gonna be when you kill that, it's gonna be like I just killed someone, or it feels something close to that.
Yeah.
Also, yeah, like we're gonna ideally want some sense of civilization, because when it goes to shit, like people are scared as fuck. People are gonna die. All that stuff's gonna suck. In reality, yeah, you do want some civilization there. You don't want the world to end. As much fun as the like romanticized version of it is, in reality, it's not gonna be that great.
And I think that's just like the reason that it's like so romanticized is because it's going back to, before we invented all of this technology, because our brains are still designed to be like we're in the Stone Age where we have to deal with these primitive problems of we're in the wild, we need to survive.
Yeah.
And that's just how our brains are. And now that we're like in this new environment and our bodies haven't evolved to the point where we're used to all this technology yet. So we still want to go back in time. We still want to like have that like,
simpler
I guess,
mindset.
primitive mindset. But it's like now that we're used to this, like, I feel like we could handle it, but it's like, I don't want to evolve backwards here in the long run too. I want to be able to like, it also just works in the way of like motivation in terms of like we've been on this planet for so long, like humanity, and it's like we don't want to set back. We want to keep moving forward and like see like, all right, what's the next step for what are we gonna do for like future generations? What's the final plan to all of this? Mm-hmm. And we're figuring that out every time we create a new invention. Like we're able to like figure out splitting atoms, quantum physics. Stuff that would have been like impossible a millennia ago. Like now it's actually feasible. I think quantum physics is feasible now. I think they did something with an atom. I don't know. I'm not sure, but still, it's like
they discovered fusion, or they're able to do fusion and it be beneficial.
Okay, so that's like splitting an atom, or
no. So fission is when you split an atom to get energy from that. Fusion, which is what the sun does, which has been not impossible. I don't know if it's been impossible, but the idea was that with fusion, like the sun, it's able to produce more energy than put into the more energy comes out than it was put in to combine two atoms together, which has been like the holy grail of energy.
Yeah, that's like infinite energy. It sounds like.
I don't know if it's infinite because I think you also need radioactive material. So there's literally
okay
elements you need to fuse together.
Right. So, I guess on the topic of the sun, let's talk about the next environmental disaster: gamma ray burst.
Okay.
So a gamma.
Sorry, continue.
So that is basically the sun. So it's like, I mean, for this specifically, actually, maybe it's not the sun. No, wait. Actually, yeah, there's a solar flare too on this. Oh. Yeah, so we could do the solar flare. The reason I said gamma ray burst is because a highly energetic explosion that occurs when a star collapses could potentially destroy the ozone layer. So that's when, I guess, our star comes to end of a lifespan. I mean, other stars can't like do that in the nearby area and like kill us. Hopefully.
Well, I don't think our sun. So, okay, well, saying on the idea of gamma ray, I don't think our sun would kill us with a gamma ray because I think when a sun, before it collapses, it expands. So I think we're in the zone where the sun expands before it collapses. Earth would be
so we would just burn.
I think we would burn first. I think if anything, it would be a nearby star that when that collapses, maybe a gamma ray. I don't know how close. It would have to be for that to...
Something in the Andromeda galaxy, maybe. I don't know.
Is that the closest galaxy?
I mean, that's the closest... Yeah, that's going to collide with the Milky Way. I don't know what the ramifications are for when all of that combines, because that may mean that like we're actually getting closer to other stars right now. But I'm not too sure. Mm-hmm. But a solar flare is basically a release of energy from the sun, and that could cause damage to electronics, the power grids, and technological collapse. So that's like a completely different apocalypse, because it's like we're all still alive, but now we have this thing that we've gotten used to. All of our jobs are my job specifically is requiring
electronics,
it. Yeah. That would be gone forever, and I'd have to adapt and find like a whole new way of living. So that would just be terrible. And so what would you do in that scenario if all electronics were now gone? Basically the same thing as what you're saying, right? I guess.
I think a lot of the things that we talked about the zombie apocalypse would also occur, but in this case, it would be electronics based. Like everything we use today, like I'm not sure to what extent a damage would be, but I don't know if you like researched this stuff or just looked up topics. Do you know about the solar flare in like the late 1800s? I think it was late 1800s.
Oh right, yeah, that happened right before we all got like all the electronics. So that like
we had telegraphs.
It was pretty bad.
So we had wires going around, and like when a solar flare went off, this is early days of like long distance communication wires. They like burst into flames, and like all the wires that were like basically telephone pole lines just went up in flames, and like I don't know, I want to say like the coasts were on fire. Probably didn't last very long because they're probably up in the air and stuff. But also, did you see the show? Oh, there's some show where like just electronics just stopped working. I don't know if you remember seeing that show.
I don't know. What is that show?
I forgot what it's called. It's not the 100. The 100 is completely different. But I think it was made around the same time as the 100. But in this show, just one day, all electronics stop working. They're not able to turn anything back on. And it's just... I don't even remember much about the show. I forgot. I watched the whole show. I can't believe I don't remember like any details. All I remember is the explanation for why it happened. And there were like nano robots that were in the air that just deactivated everything.
Oh, okay. That's an odd one.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know why.
Artificial intelligence is also on this list.
Yeah, I want to talk about that next. But yeah, so what I would do, I think we would probably just go back to Wild West, early 1900s kind of civilization. Actually, not even, because people are so, like, you know, as you said, like, built on this, especially now after COVID, like, being online and stuff, that, like, a lot of people's lives would completely fall apart. We're not able to survive without technology as much as we ever were. We'd be severely crippled. I think people would just start going crazy, and, you know, we would probably have people going out raiding, just like, if there's a blackout, I think it might have been in Chicago. There was like a blackout of the city. People just started, you know, raiding, looting stores. You know, the classic.
Right. So that
break the storefront, steal the TVs.
Be the same effect, just worldwide.
At first, it'd probably just be pretty crazy. I feel like we'd be able to get back electronically. And I don't know to what extent would everything be damaged.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could go back. We have an idea of how to do a lot of stuff.
But
it's just
also a lot of the stuff.
crippled.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff that we have right now is also like some of it is limited resources. Like I know the chip in phones and stuff. Like to fully recover back to where we are, I don't think that would be possible. But I don't know that for sure. That's just what I'm thinking because we're so limited.
That is a big thing too. Like at first, I think we would, depending on what happens. In this case, I'm assuming that all electronics are destroyed. Let's just say like all computer chips, everything that's connected is just fried and unusable. Obviously, a lot of resources would be heavily depleted, but we'd also go back probably further than like using a laptop. We'd probably first start off with like communicating through radio because I think that's a lot simpler than having the internet.
Right, right.
Also,
and I'm sure
assuming
like
the internet
be,
would
like,
be
static.
destroyed. Yeah, it'd probably be that. We would need to probably set up new radio towers. Oh yeah, probably satellite. Like, especially the satellites would just be destroyed. That stuff would. I don't know if that would come crashing down. I don't think so. I think it'd still be in orbit.
It might, if it might crash down, but it might burn up in the atmosphere before it crashes down.
That's true.
But do you think there would be certain satellites on like the opposite side of the Earth during the time of the solar flare that would be protected? Or do you think it would be such a big blast? It depends, I guess. Yeah,
because
how big?
Yeah, I'm not sure how that would work. Because with the solar flare, right? It's not like the solar flare is coming near us. It's the radiation, magnetic, whatever it's coming at us isn't the solar flare itself. It's like the emissions that hit Earth. And then you also have to think, like, Earth does have its magnetic field, and there'd be two layers of that, right? That if it had to go to the other side of the Earth, right? It would have to go through both of that. So I don't know if the other side would be protected. Right.
Yeah, so I have no idea either.
There's a lot of, like with the zombie apocalypse. In a movie, in a show, it makes sense. But there's like tiny things you have questions of that, like, in real life, what would actually happen?
So, yeah, there's also geomagnetic reversal on here, which is the Earth's magnetic field, which protects the Earth from harmful solar and cosmic radiation that could flip, causing widespread damage to power grids, communication systems, and other infrastructure. So basically the same thing as the solar flare.
Mm-hmm.
So
did you hear
that would like probably cause it?
I think it was exaggerated, but apparently we might have been close, like 10 years ago, to the poles like flipping. There's something that came out. I think it might have been, one of those exaggerated stories where it's like, oh my God, the Earth's poles are flipping, or they flipped 10 years ago. I gotta look it up. But there was like something, and I was like looking into it, and I was like, why isn't anyone else talking about this? Why is it just on the news? Or why is it not even on the news?
Right.
Like, and why has nothing happened?
Because I've never heard of that either, but it's like, would everything actually just like, so we'd pretty much die at that point? I mean, from solar and cosmic radiation, but this just says that it would just cause damage to the power grids and stuff like that. So I think that like kind of be screwed, but what caused it 10 years ago, according to
I don't know if it was
what you mentioned.
From what I saw, it was so the big headline. Look at this one right now. The Earth's magnetic pole reversal may be reversing itself.
It's just doing
so
it.
That sounds like it reversed and now it's going back. But I thought I saw something. It was like scientists like studied the trajectory of, I'm not sure what it charts, but like the magnetic pole levels. Let's just use that as the example. It charted that, and like 10 years ago, looking at like the speed of the change, it was going, and then it kind of just leveled out, which meant it was a sign that is about to go the other way.
Oh, okay.
Although I think it was highly exaggerated about what actually happened. Although they said true North Pole has been moving away from, or the North Magnetic Pole was moving away from true north into Siberia.
So that implies that it's going to go to the other side, which it's flipping entirely.
Despite recent political conflicts, it was not the location of the magnetic pole moving to that was the problem. It was the fact that geological history shows this is an indication that the Earth's magnetic poles are in the process of reversing themselves, and that could screw up something we've grown to love and consider indispensable: GPS. At the same time, the south side of the planet discovered something scarily called the South Atlantic Anomaly, a huge area of Earth's inner Van Allen radiation belt that is messing with satellites and spacecraft by exposing them to higher than usual levels of radiation. Okay, so this is a really long article that I didn't comprehend.
We would lose,
GPS.
We would lose internet. I mean, GPS, yeah.
I don't know what.
So we wouldn't be able to travel, pretty much. Probably a lot of locations, compasses would kind of be screwed up a little bit.
If it completely
reverses,
and we knew about it, it would just be that north is south now. North is south now.
Yeah, but it takes time for it to travel too. So then that would also mean that like the temperature also fluctuates from wherever true north is and true south is on both sides, I guess. So true. if it keeps traveling further down, eventually it's going to get to the point where it's at the equator, and that's going to mean that like it's just going to be like an ice age in the equator. So that's going to be like wild for the ramifications for like Siberia, or like the North Pole will then be like a hotspot, like for a short period of time. It'll be like,
I don't know if it's necessarily the axis of the Earth. It's the location of the magnetic pole. So the sun would still be pointing at most at the equator. So I think the temperature would be the same, but it'd be where the magnetic waves are.
Right.
Magnetic field.
Still very complicated.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people would die. I'm sure a lot of people, a lot of animals, a lot of technology would just die.
Well,
that one's very complicated.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways we can die on Earth, guys. So
yeah,
if you guys like this, we could do the rest of the list later next week or some other time. But yeah, we should probably make like a submission thing or something like that. For now, go on Cosmic Lumberjack's Instagram page. You could DM me for ideas and other interesting ideas, topics that you guys want us to talk about in general. So, for now, this has been Cosmic Lumberjack.
And Cade.
With Carboload. Thank you guys for watching.
Peace.
Is that what I said?
What?